Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what are the downsides of weed that people don't talk about? As a pretty consistent weed smoker, I don't like when people say that weed isn't addicting. They're right in saying that it's not addictive chemically like nicotine or something. You can still get addicted to not being sober. I smoked pretty heavily for a long time, and I quit cold turkey one day because I realized it made me okay with things I shouldn't be okay with. The first few days to a week is awful. You're constantly like, man, I could really use a bowl, it sure would make right now better. Edit, I was just made aware there's a subreddit for people trying to get away from weed. It's called /r/leaves. I can't stress this enough, my best friend is smoking every day to put up with a toxic relationship, and that's so sad. I've noticed after the initial uptick in chatter, people tend to get really quiet and zoned out in their own thoughts. When I used to smoke it, I found it had a dulling effect on my personality and conversational skills after the fact, too. Yeah, I'd never tell any of my sweet lovely friends this in real life in case it hurt their feelings, but a couple of them are a lot less fun after they smoke weed. Hate it when my friends go smoke during a party. We'll be in, having a great time, playing some board or card games, everyone socializing. Then they'll smoke, come back, everyone just wants to sit on the couch and watch a movie, and no one wants to talk about anything except for how high they are. Haven't told them, but it does bother me. I remember in high school, there was a girl in our group of friends who always wanted to smoke weed with us, and we never knew why, and never wanted her to, because when she got high she wouldn't say a word anymore, would be paranoid, and would just have this blank expression on her face. It was unsettling enough because this girl was loud as hell and was hands down the funniest one of our group. She was like an entirely different person when stoned. I get much quieter when high like your friend. No paranoia though. I'm also usually firing on all cylinders, upbeat and relatively funny. Well, I'd at least like to think it. For me, slowing down and being quieter gives my brain a chance to rest and dumb down a bit. My thoughts chain together a lot less logically, but it's nice to think less sometimes. That's just my 2 cents. It can become your only personality trait. Thank you. I'm at a college known for being notoriously heavy-handed on the weed culture. Some of my peers' only goal is when they are going to get their next high, and like they are so stuck in the culture that they just become sort of boring and their personality lacks dimension. I'm not someone who thinks the practice is evil, just got to use in moderation, like anything. Demotivatio in heavy consumers. It is fine in moderation, but multiple times per day seems to suck the ambition from most people I've seen, including myself long ago. South Park said it best. Well, son, pot makes you feel fine with being bored. And it's when you're bored that you should be learning some new skill or discovering some new science or being creative. If you smoke pot, you may grow up to find out that you aren't good at anything. I feel like this quote could also be applied to mindlessly scrolling through social media or playing Candy Crush-like games. We drown out all the white space with this stuff and sucks away the time we would have to learn something interesting or be creative. Inhaling any type of smoke at all isn't good for your lungs. And that shit's expensive. I buy edibles. Can't stand to inhale smoke since I quit cigarettes 20 years ago. It's still expensive though. Same here, I don't smoke and have no plans whatsoever in starting anytime soon. I just buy edibles online, and boy, I'm glad it's expensive, otherwise I'd probably be addicted to it. Edit, I'm getting a handful of messages because of this. I'm Canadian, medical and recreational cannabis is legal here. Edibles actually didn't get legalized until this year, so there's not a lot of local places that sell it yet. I get my edibles from an online private seller based off Richmond, BC. It makes you okay with being just okay. This is profound. I was using it as a way to get through depression, but it was not a great coping mechanism. I knew I had to use it as a stepping stone, to get to real coping skills, otherwise I would never be good again, just okay. Weed doesn't make me feel better. It just makes me not care as much about how bad I feel. That's something I said to a doctor a really long time ago, and I still think it's very true. It's not a solution, but if it wasn't for that I would have cared enough to kill myself and wouldn't have lived to be 25. One thing that I never see brought up is the effect of marijuana on dreaming. Marijuana use can prevent the user from dreaming during regular sleep. When the user stops using marijuana for a while, they can experience night after night of extremely vivid dreams. I can only speak for my own experience, but I have heard this echoed by a co-worker's dad who started smoking again because he couldn't handle having acid trip dreams every night. I suspect that marijuana has some potent effect on REM sleep that will remain underdocumented until it is descheduled and more thorough research can be done. Definitely true, smoked every night for a couple years, never dreamed until I stopped. I find that taking tea breaks consistently helps with this problem, but unfortunately weed is somewhat addictive to a lot of people. I always really enjoyed those vivid dreams, though. Great time to trial lucid dreaming. I smoked every day for about 10 years, minus about 6 months in all that as I needed to be clean for a drug test for a job. IMO weed starts off amazing and fun, but after becoming a habitual smoker it turns into a crux that's hard to shake. It's not that it's super addicting, it's just nothing is as fun as being high, so you want to be high all the time. It dulls feelings but highlights feelings of existentialism which can sometimes be overbearing. I would also feel stuck in my life a lot, like it would be hard to make changes, but I would want better things for myself, but it always seemed impossible to achieve. I did have problems with breathing, but I have a history of asthma and took up Tai Chi to compensate, which I found really enjoyable, and it helped me to slow down greatly on smoking. The one most annoying thing with being a smoker is your tolerance level goes way up, so even though you are smoking you aren't getting that high you used to get, just a mind-numbing insomnia almost. I also had a loss of appetite over time and ate less. It also made me feel comfortable with where I was in life, and I had a lack of motivation, though some days like once a month or two it could really motivate you to do something, but that would wither away quickly. Overall I would recommend it only at parties or every once in a while, but I have quit a while ago and never want to go back to being a daily smoker. Also, me being an expectant mother now has changed my feelings towards it. I don't want my kids growing up around it or around me being high. I feel they should find that on their own if they want, and I shouldn't influence them to think it's okay. Edit. Wow, a lot of comments on this, which is surprising for me. I will try to answer you all over time. Thank you everyone for the gold and silver and such. I just want to say I did mean crux instead of crutch. Like I said, weed highlighted thoughts and feelings of existentialism in my life. So I felt like a martyr almost on my quest to find answers to these questions of mine. I felt like I was crucifying myself for a righteous cause to know what I wanted to know. Also, a lot of people saying I described addiction when I stated weed was addicting. I always thought if something was addicting you couldn't quit cold turkey due to your body going into shock or death. Or that you could quit without help, like method for heroin addicts or something. Since I quit weed cold turkey and when I wanted to, I did think it was addicting. Like I choose to eat eggs every day for breakfast, it's not addicting but I like it and choose it. But maybe I am addicted. Lol, just stating. Also, I did psychedelics for a period of time throughout all this. So maybe this changed how weed affected me over time. I had a lot of bad trips and can't even think about tripping again. God bless all of you guys though. I know weed affects people differently, I just wanted to share how it affected me over time. I don't think it should be illegal though, and I think people should be free to use it as they see fit. I believe everyone has the personal liberty to choose their own path. Edit 2. Anyone looking for advice on how to stop, I recommend changing your routine. My husband and I took up different activities like taking the dogs to the dog park, going to hockey games, spending more time with family, going to the beach, Tai Chi, etc. We are both homebodies, but we decided to go out and be more active, and it helped to break the routine of sitting at home smoking. Find new stuff to do instead. I am also a daily smoker and this is a perfect description. I agree as well. The only thing missing is the hunt and always having to make sure you have a supply. It's horrible. Weed is for people that have found their way in life, it's not for people who are looking for the way. My uncle. In other words, as fun as it may seem when you're young. Get your shit together first: education, family, career, etc. Edit. Thanks for the gilding, kind strangers, and for those of you who have taken offense. Relax, I'm glad it all worked out for you, all my sympathies if it didn't. Regardless, weed can for most people take your motivation and drive away if it's taken up and consumed in high volumes at an early age. It's just think it isn't a good idea, I think, if you're ripping balls every day from 16 up through high school. My husband smokes and honestly, he's got his shit together. He works a great job, has a good education, is a great dad, doesn't drink, motivated, etc. I think in his case it helps him relax. Thanks, wife. I would say that as a long-term smoker that wants out, it has made me incredibly boring. If I have evening plans on the weekend but smoke anything in the day, then I'm far more prone to cancelling those nighttime plans. If I do attend those plans after smoking in the day, then I feel I'm not entirely there. Awkward silences, jokes don't land, keeping a conversation going becomes 10x harder, and I'm inevitably just waiting for an appropriate time to leave. Overall, it just kinda makes you socially awkward and super boring to be around in a social setting. Just from my experience. I remember one party I was at, sitting in a corner, and the whole night felt like one of those scenes in movies when the guy stands there and everything behind is blurry and in fast motion. People would come and sit next to me, have whole conversations that I would listen to, and then go, but could not interact at all. Weird. I was trying to drink less at the time and as a result smoked way more. It was not working. Same. Went to a house party, drank a few beers and had like 3 edibles. My ass was locked to the couch, but mentally I felt like I was hovering above the room observing everything. People would come by to talk and I loved talking with people, but I couldn't keep up at all. Someone would ask me about my favorite band and apparently I'd answer like 5 minutes later. Then again they were drunk and it's kind of obnoxious being around drunk people when you're high.